Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight. I'm Brandis Friedman.
And I'm Paris Schutz. On the show tonight.
This entire week is very crazy and chaotic, but today's a little bit more crazier.
The expected blizzard is already wreaking havoc in grocery store aisles.
We're demanding Superintendent Brown to give us a town hall meeting so he could get to know the community residents and our local street vendors.
Street vendors are calling for more police presence in Little Village.
If House Bill 5855 or anything remotely like it passes, we will see you in court.
Illinois lawmakers hold hearings on a possible assault weapons ban. Our Spotlight Politics team on that and much more.
And there's a new addition on February's ballot, Police District Council. We explain the new role.
But first, some of today's top stories. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy pleads with U.S. Congress members to continue supporting his country in the face of Russian aggression. Zelenskyy wrapped up a whirlwind tour of Washington, D.C., his first trip outside Ukraine since the war began, by addressing a joint session of Congress. Zelenskyy also visited with President Joe Biden at the Oval Office, seen here today. Congress is considering a bill that contains $44 billion in emergency aid for Ukraine. And earlier today, Biden and Zelenskyy held a joint news conference.
What you're doing, what you've achieved, it matters not just to Ukraine, but to the entire world. And together, I have no doubt we'll keep the flame of liberty burning bright, and the light will remain and prevail over the darkness.
And I wish you to see your children when they will go to universities and to see their children. I think that is the main thing what I can wish you. And of course, to be together with us, jointly, because we really fight for our common victory against this tyranny.
City and county officials are preparing for the first winter storm of the season, bringing dangerously high winds and extremely cold temperatures.
One of the highlights is that the commute time from any time beyond noon tomorrow afternoon, going through our traditional evening commute into the evening hours, is expected to be during the worst conditions of falling temperatures, increasing winds, and snowfall.
Forecasters predict 2 to 5 inches of snow, but expect blowing snow and temps to fall to a low of 5 degrees below zero overnight tomorrow. And Amanda Vinicky has more on how folks are preparing in just a minute.
Driving might not be the only mode of transportation impaired over the next few days. Metro announces it will run reduced service across its system on Friday due to the weather forecast and on the assumption that many regular commuters are already home for the holidays. The system is planning to be fully operational tomorrow, but is cautioning riders to take extra time in case the weather causes delays. And a lot of closures announced all across the region already, including all CPS after-school programs, also Cook County courthouses, with the exception of Bond and Juvenile Detention Court, all closed on Friday.
More marijuana dispensaries could be in the works for 2023 now that the state has announced a timeline for the next round of applicants. The Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation will begin accepting applications for 55 conditional cannabis dispensary licenses starting January 30th. The department says it's improved the application process to allow increased accessibility and opportunity to social equity applicants, those who've been harmed by the country's so-called war on drugs.
And coming up in the program, a new option on ballots. We explain.
But first, the holiday shopping frenzy at grocery stores ahead of the expected blizzard. That's right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Alexandra and John Nichols, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
The weather forecast could put a kink in the plans of those who prefer to do some last-minute holiday shopping. For some, the heavy snow and winds on the way has sped up the hustle and bustle timeline, and grocery stores are ground zero. Amanda Vinicky joins us now with more. Amanda.
Yeah, Brandis, we are preparing for a wintry mix, and I don't mean the weather, at least exclusively. We do have the forecast, of course, calling for blizzard-like conditions, but mixed in with that, Christmas, Hanukkah, the holidays. It's a double whammy, and it is causing crowded parking lots and long aisles at grocery stores as folks stock up. Derek Loesch is co-owner of Jean's Sausage Shop in Lincoln Square, and he's been so busy he hadn't paid attention to the forecast until yesterday, when he started getting calls from customers looking to change their orders.
I was like, "Can I ask you why you wanted to?" Because this was about the 20th order that's been changed. And she goes, "Well, didn't you know it's going to snow on Thursday?" I go, "Didn't you know we live in Chicago and it snows?" And she goes, "Well, I'm from Florida." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry about that."
Some folks, he said, are picking their orders up early, others canceled, but they've been replaced by new orders.
What I think is happening is that maybe some people are staying back home for the holidays, not taking that trip that they were planning on, and now need some food.
No problem for Jean's. He says they're open through Saturday afternoon, no matter the conditions, with prime rib being offered that has been dry aging since Thanksgiving, and other specialties.
For instance, our homemade smoked sausages that we make here ourselves, nobody else does that, are prepared foods. We've got potato pancakes, blintzes, 8 different varieties of pierogi, herring that's made by hand, meaning like the home style, creamy, in wine, dill. We've got aquavit, caraway liqueur, all those egg liqueurs that you can't find anywhere else that are imported from Europe.
Egg liqueur, haven't tried that. Anyway, that is Yolanda, Derek's sister and co-owner. She's responsible for ordering all the grocery and deli items, plus the booze. Shipping issues during the pandemic shifted the timeline for getting all of that stocked in time for the holidays.
We used to have to order our items that are coming in from overseas July 1st. And last year we had to get in all of our orders by March 1st. So as soon as you finish recovering from the holidays here, you start to get into it again and start ordering your items to make sure that you get them.
Sounds stressful, but that early ordering does have an upside. There is no worry that travel hazards caused by the weather will delay shipments of items they need on the shelves for Christmas. Rather, Yolanda says the biggest issue lately is having enough staff. With the snow, she did make some last-minute shift changes.
We really heavied up for Friday and Saturday, and now we've kind of reeled that back in and getting more people for today and tomorrow, because I assume if there really is a storm, as they are predicting, then it'll be a little bit slower those 2 days because it'll be difficult to travel.
So what's normally your busiest days have moved up. Is today up there for one of the busiest that you've experienced?
Yeah, well, traditionally this entire week is very crazy and chaotic, but today's a little bit more crazier than expected, yes.
Jean's was, in fact, nonstop the whole time we were there. That was no bother, though, for Heidi Romero.
Doing some shopping. German food shopping.
Why today? Is this something that normally you would save until Friday, Saturday, but have been looking at the weather forecast?
You know what? I'm not concerned about the weather. I'm coming here one way or the other. My son's driving my BMW.
Get it? If it wasn't obvious there, Romero is German. She says her family is going to be enjoying brats from Jean's over Christmas. Now, James Herbeck, by the way, did have an eye on the forecast as he included Jean's among his daily errands.
What are you getting here?
Some cheese, meat, salad, and maybe a bottle of wine, you know.
I recommend several. If you really can't leave, that warms you up, right?
I will. I'll take your advice.
Important provisions if the weather keeps him shut in the next few days as planned. Now, you know, Brandis, Santa gets a lot of credit this season, but kudos to grocers and all of the other retail workers. Derek says that he has been working around the clock, as in an 18-plus hour day yesterday, and then this morning he got to Jean's at about 4:30, and with all the switched orders, there's no telling how late a night it is going to be for him. So, to all of those employees, as well as to last-minute shoppers, and sorry, Brandis, I do believe that includes you. Stay safe and good luck.
I talk a good game, Amanda, and absolutely thanks to those folks who are working so that everyone else can get what they need. Amanda, thank you.
Sure thing.
Up next, what can voters expect on the ballot this upcoming election? But first, a look at the weather.
culture is vibrant, it's rich, it's fun.
We try to focus on, hey, let me help you. This is what Chicago is. This is Little Village.
February's municipal elections, it's not just about the race for mayor or city council. There are dozens of candidates running for brand new positions, police district councils. Voters will decide on members of the councils who will oversee each of the city's 22 police districts. Then those districts will nominate 7 people to serve on a commission to oversee the entire department and city. And joining us now with more are Anthony Driver Jr., President of the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, and Damon Smith, Deputy Director for District Councils with the Community Commission of Public Safety and Accountability. All right, we really have to clarify this for viewers. So these 2 new positions here, let's start with the Police District Council. Damon, what will this council do?
So this council will be a liaison between the community and the local police district. There are 22 police districts, and the community has been screaming for years. We want more direct input on how policing is done in our districts. Let's find creative ways to do policing in our district so that maybe we don't even have to call the police when situations arise. We can handle it ourselves or present alternatives to having someone arrested and put in jail for minor offenses or offenses that can be handled with the community, and so situations do not get escalated and cause situations for residents of the community that are over-policed as we sit right now.
All right, so for all the residents out there that get these petitions and people are asking them to sign the petitions for someone running for a police district council, that's what they're going to do. But their other main job, Anthony Driver, is going to be to select commissioners to serve on the new accountability commission that you're heading up right now. So what is that commission going to do?
Yeah, so currently I serve as the president of the Community Commission on Public Safety and Accountability, and we have a big role to play in public safety. We help select the COPA chief, the police superintendent if there's a vacancy. We have policy-making authority as well as oversight authority over COPA, the police board, and the Chicago Police Department.
And with that superintendent search, the mayor does have the power to reject who the commissioners send her or him, but then 2/3 of the city council can vote to override that. So there's a lot of convoluted rules here because there was a big negotiation to get this done. So tell us how this is different than the police board that currently exists.
Well, this is different because this is a, if you will, a full-on wraparound aspect of police and public safety. So the police board has investigative powers. What we do here at the CCPSA is we do front-end accountability work. We're here to build relationships. We're here to build restorative justice practices. We are here to provide opportunities for the community to be involved in the policing process before incidents happen of misconduct, of mischievousness, if you will, so that these incidents won't happen as they have happened before in the past. And so we're trying to end these situations before they even start, so there is a lack of misconduct. We can decrease the number of incidents of misconduct by building better relationships between the neighborhoods and the police district and leadership.
As you said, focusing on the front end, Anthony Driver, ultimately, how do you want this to impact public safety, having this new commission?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to get residents involved in the community. The community needs to be involved. We've tried every other type of oversight. We went from IPRA to COPA to giving more power to the police board. We've tried everything but giving the community an actual voice. So this commission exists to serve residents, and residents have a direct voice in that through their voice at the ballot, and also having a hyper-local form of government like these district councils.
COPA being the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, that took over for IPRA. IPRA got wiped away because it had been incredibly problematic. Damon Smith, it seems like conventional wisdom says that the 2 types of people running for these districts are either FOP-influenced police supporters or folks that are not supporters of the police. Is that what it's going to come down to, those 2 different types of folks on this board?
Yes, and that is okay, because we want all representatives and all voices here at the table to have those conversations. Policing in Chicago is a very challenging job. Community relationships is a very challenging job. So to do that with one voice or a silo of voices instead of everyone at the table having an equal opportunity to speak their mind, that's totally independent of the mayor, totally independent of the superintendent and the police department, will give all voices access and equitable access to influence how policing is done in their districts.
Anthony, remind us the process that brought this about. There was a long debate for many years, and why it was such a contentious debate.
Yeah, so there have been calls for civilian oversight of the police department since the assassination of Chairman Fred Hampton. So this is a decades-long fight. When I joined this, struggle 4 or 5 years ago, there were 2 different groups. There were GAPA and CPAC, They were, competing with one another, and they eventually came together to form the ECPS coalition that was over 150,000 Chicagoans, 17 labor unions, and over 100 community and faith organizations. So through a 2, 3, 4-year struggle, we finally were able to get the supermajority required at the city council to pass this in last July.
Damon, what do you say to folks that say there's just too many governing bodies here, another politician running for another elected position, and it's just going to be lost in a mess of bureaucracy?
This is democracy. But this is totally independent democracy. Again, it cannot be understated that this arm of police accountability or public safety accountability is 100% totally independent of any government agency, entity, office, title, etc. So this is truly the community speaks to the district councils. District council speaks to the commission. They meet 4 times a year, present recommendations to the administration, whomever that shall be, and the administration must select from those recommendations that are supplied to them to influence public safety.
And again, the administration can veto the selection, but then city council can override it. But they have to work together.
Yeah, that's right. Those are appropriate checks and balances that exist in our Congress, our General Assembly, and our city council.
All right, we have to leave it there. Anthony Driver, Damon Smith, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And now, Brandis, we go back to you.
Paris street vendors are coming together to demand more police presence in Little Village following an uptick in armed robberies. Chicago Tonight's Joanna Hernandez has more.
One by one, street vendors walk into Chicago Police headquarters on a mission to get help following recent robberies of street vendors along 26th Street.
Today, we're here because our superintendent has failed us again.
The Little Village Community Council hosted a rally demanding more police protection for vendors selling on the street. Among them is Maria Velasquez. She says she's been robbed at gunpoint 3 times in a span of 15 days.
Para mí algo muy doloroso porque pues cuando a uno le ponen una pistola, uno no sabe uno ni qué hacer y pues les entrega uno el dinero, ¿verdad?
Velasquez shows a surveillance video of one of the robberies.
Ahí está el cliente, mira. Ya se guardó su dinero. Allá va, mira. Aquí sale el cliente.
In the video, you see a customer walking to his vehicle when he is ambushed. Velasquez says one of the robbers jumps into her cart and mugs her at gunpoint before running off. She has filed police reports but has yet to get any updates.
Quiera que patrullen más constante y que podamos estar más tranquilos. Cuando nosotros vemos que la policía pasa y pasa, o sea, como que cobramos mucha tranquilidad.
In recent months, local leaders say street vendors have become victims of multiple assaults and robberies. Community organizer Christian Armendariz says he's working with groups to help patrol along the 26th Street corridor.
I'm risking my own life trying to keep our local street vendors safe. Just 20 minutes before checking in with a street vendor, I went to go check up on another street vendor, and he got mugged. If I would have stood there, I probably would have been mugged too, or worse.
The vendors were not able to meet with Superintendent Brown, but they were promised a town hall meeting in 3 weeks in the Little Village neighborhood.
We're asking that superintendent walks at 3, 4 in the morning with us, with the vendors, and also meet the vendors so he can know who he's protecting.
In the meantime, vendors like Velasquez say they have no choice but to continue to work, knowing the suspects are still out there.
Yo sigo vendiendo con miedo, pero pues tengo que cumplir y sobre todo porque en estas temporadas de diciembre hacemos órdenes.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Joanna Hernandez.
We did reach out to the Chicago Police Department, but they say they cannot comment on any plan of action involving the street vendors. Organizers say they also sent a letter to Mayor Lori Lightfoot. One of the state's most recognizable politicians by name, Jesse White, is passing the baton. Another outgoing politician, Alderwoman Carrie Austin, says she's unfit to stand trial. The feds say they're not buying it. And after referring former President Trump to the Justice Department on criminal charges, Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger is poised to leave Congress. Here with a special look at outgoing politicians is our Spotlight Politics team, Amanda Venicky, Heather Sharon, and Paris Schutz. Welcome back, team. So let's start with Congressman Adam Kinzinger. As we said, he's about to leave Congress just days after he referred for criminal charges the former President Donald Trump to the DOJ. Apparently, though, wanting to stay involved in politics. At the moment, though, he appears to be a man without a party. And didn't we hear reports yesterday, Paris, that he has sold his home in Illinois? What might his future look like?
We did hear those reports, but then he said he wants to stay in Illinois. It does seem like his immediate future is going to be as a commentator on cable television, which would indicate maybe he wants to stay out in Washington or out east. But he's acknowledged there really is no home for him in the Republican Party, especially the Illinois Republican Party. You cannot win a primary election right now with the party constituted as it is, where Donald Trump is the major figure, or Trumpism, this MAGA brand of politics, because he has made sure that he's completely against that and he wants to take the party and the country in a new direction. So he's saying he's waiting for either the party to change or an independent, moderate third party to form, or the Democratic Party to perhaps reach out to more conservative members, and maybe then he'll run for some other office. But it does appear that his career in Illinois politics is probably over.
For now, anyway. Exactly. So finally, two longtime Chicago politicians set to call it a day. The difference, though, in their departure could not be more different. So first, talking about the outgoing Secretary of State, Jesse White. Been in that position since 1998, and as far as we know, there has been no scandal for him, which says a lot about Illinois politics, that he's going out without scandal. Amanda, how do you see his legacy? You interviewed him earlier this week.
Yeah, Brenda, you know, considering, you are certainly right, it is a vast contrast to others, particularly we're looking at former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan, been around even longer, served in the Illinois House with White, but of course is facing indictment and federal trial for corruption charges. White does not have that sort of legacy. I mean, he is the Jesse White tumblers. I think that's almost what he's better known for than the Secretary of State. But there's a reason that he served in this position for so long, and that reason is because he was a huge vote getter for Democrats. So Democratic leaders asked him, pleaded with him several times, please run again for another term. And that is his major legacy, is just that of popularity, a politician who people truly liked.
Separately, though, indicted Alderwoman Carrie Austin. She is stepping down March 1st, saying that she is too ill to stand trial on bribery charges. I do want to play this soundbite because she referenced her health when she was speaking in support of the Red Line extension at City Council last week.
So I'm going to shortly limit my speech. I don't want to run out of oxygen.
Heather, federal prosecutors, though, they don't seem to think that she is as sick as she claims to be. Are her claims of ill health, are they going to delay or prevent this trial at all?
Well, we won't know for several months until after the next election. She's not running for re-election. She told federal prosecutors that if she was forced to stand trial on charges of bribery and lying to FBI agents, it would be tantamount to a death sentence. So what did the FBI did? They surveilled her for several days in mid-November and caught her going to the hair salon for several hours, going out to dinner, and walking unassisted. Now, since she has been back at City Council for the last several months, she's been using supplemental oxygen therapy, and she has not sort of been an active part of the City Councils. But the FBI says, look, if she's able to represent nearly 50,000 residents in the far south side, she is capable of standing trial. That will be, of course, up to a judge, and they say it's important that somebody like Alderman Austin, who has been in office the second longest of any other city council, be held accountable for her alleged crimes. She, of course, has pled not guilty.
Who would that be who's been in office in the city council longer?
Alderman Ed Burke.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, quiet exit on that one.
So pivoting a little bit, Illinois lawmakers held hearings this week to discuss a possible ban on certain assault rifles. Of course, supporters of assault rifles have said that they are prepared to take this to court. Amanda, gun advocates already indicating, this legal challenge. Are they, are supporters of this confident that it will withstand a challenge?
I don't think that they can be. There is some pretty solid evidence on the part of those who favor gun rights that the U.S. Supreme Court might very well be on their side. But I think at this point there is such political pressure and such desire. It is both at the same time. Pressure for them to get something like this passed, but also particularly in light of Highland Park and mass shootings in this city. They want to do something.
There have been assault weapons bans nationwide in other states that were successful. It's hard to imagine a legal challenge being successful, but the Supreme Court is 6-3 conservative. We don't know.
We're going to find out in 2023, maybe, folks. That is Spotlight for tonight. Thanks, team. Amanda Vinicky, Heather Sharon, and Paris Schutz. And we're back to wrap things up right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Alexandra and John Nichols, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
And that is our show for this Wednesday night.
Please join us tomorrow night live at 7 if we can get here.
Hopefully.
How North Park residents and leaders are bracing for the anticipated Chicago blizzard. That's what we're talking about. We have a live report.
And the evolution of Santa Claus, the many faces of Old St. Nick as seen in a very merry vintage postcard collection at the Newberry Library. Now for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman.
And I'm Paris Schutz. Thanks for watching. Stay warm. Have a great evening.
Stay safe.
Closed captioning is made possible in part by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, wishing all a happy and healthy holiday season.
I just love Christmas. It's my favourite time of year. But it can be so busy. I'm going to share with you some great tips for getting ahead, so actual Christmas is stress-free. I have some wonderful, easy recipes, and I'll also be finding out how everyone else is preparing for Christmas. That really takes the wind out of my sails.
Friday at 9 on WTTW.
So good to be back.